For 35 years, Clara Henshaw tended Willow Creek Dam's weather station. One stormy night, she logged odd radio signals. She expected a technician's visit, but by morning, Air Force officers turned her cabin into a hub, revealing a sky-high secret. Hi everyone, welcome to Life Unveiled. Let's get started. Clara Henshaw had spent 35 years perched above Willow Creek Dam, a hulking concrete beast that held back the restless waters of a river winding through Oregon's coastal hills. At 63, she was wiry and grey-haired, her hands calloused from decades of tinkering with gauges and mopping rain-soaked floors. The dam's weather station, a squat cabin clinging to the cliffside, was her domain. She logged wind speeds, rainfall, and the occasional tremor from the fault line nearby. Most folks in the valley below forgot she was up there. The job had gone digital years ago, but the state kept Clara on, valuing her knack for spotting what machines missed. Her days were quiet, filled with the hum of equipment and the chatter of her only companion, a tabby cat named Rusty. She liked it that way. After her husband passed from a heart attack 15 years back, she'd sold their farm and taken this post to escape the pitying stares of neighbours. The solitude suited her. She brewed strong coffee, read dog-eared novels, and watched storms roll in from the Pacific, their dark clouds bruising the sky. The station's old radio, a relic from the 70s, crackled with static most nights, picking up fishing boat chatter or the odd ham operator. Clara kept it on for company, its hiss blending with Rusty's purrs. But one November night, something shifted. A storm had barreled in, rain lashing the cabin windows and wind rattling the shutters. Clara was up late, logging a sudden spike in barometric pressure when the radio sputtered to life. Not the usual fisherman's drawl, but a burst of sharp staccato tones, like Morse code gone wild. She frowned, adjusting the dial. The signal cut in and out, layered with a low hum that made Rusty's ears twitch. Clara grabbed her notebook, jotting the time, 11:47 p.m. She tuned the frequency, pinpointing it at 1420 kHz, far from any local band. The tones looped, erratic but deliberate, then faded into static as the storm peaked. "Something's off, Rusty," she muttered, scratching the cat's chin. He blinked at her, unconcerned. Clara knew these hills. She'd tracked weather quirks, radio interference from lightning, even the occasional military test from the base 50 miles south. This was different. Too structured for static, too fleeting for a prank. She hesitated, then reached for the phone. The state office wouldn't care unless it was a dam emergency, but her contract mandated reporting anomalies. She dialed the regional tech line. "Willow Creek Station, Clara Henshaw. Got unusual radio signals tonight. 1420 kHz, repeating pattern. Not weather-related, sending my log tomorrow." The night operator yawned through a thanks and promised a technician by week's end. Clara hung up, satisfied. Probably nothing. Maybe a busted transmitter up the coast. She stayed up another hour, watching the storm through the window. The signal didn't return. By 2 a.m., the rain softened, and she crawled into bed, Rusty curling at her feet. She figured that was the end of it. An odd blip in her quiet routine. She couldn't know her call had pinged a radar far beyond the sleepy state office, setting wheels in motion that would upend her solitary life. Dawn broke with a roar. Clara was pouring her first coffee, the sky clearing to a crisp blue when engines growled up the dam's service road. Unusual. Delivery trucks came monthly, not daily. Rusty leapt to the sill, tail flicking, as Clara peered out. 3 dark SUVs rolled into view, followed by a grey van. Government plates. Men in crisp uniforms spilled out, moving with purpose, unloading crates and antennas. A sharp rap hit her door. Rusty hissed. "Hold your horses," Clara grumbled, smoothing her flannel shirt before opening it. A woman stood there, mid-40s, in a pressed Air Force jacket. Her badge read, Major Ellen Carter. Behind her, a team hauled gear past the cabin's porch. "Clara Henshaw?" Carter's voice was clipped, all business. Clara nodded, wary. "Major Carter, US and Air Force. We need to discuss your report from last night. May we come in?" Clara blinked. Air Force? For a radio glitch? Guess so, she said, stepping aside. Carter entered with two others, a young lieutenant and a tech carrying a laptop. Rusty bolted under the couch. Coffee? Clara offered, more out of habit than hospitality. Carter declined with a tight smile. No time, ma'am. Your signal report triggered an alert. We're setting up here. Clara's kitchen window framed the chaos outside. Antennas rising, cables snaking across her gravel lot. Setting up what? She asked, crossing her arms. Carter sat at Clara's scarred table, gesturing for her to join. What you heard wasn't random interference. It matches a signature we've been tracking, non-terrestrial in origin. Clara stared, then laughed, a dry rasp. You're saying aliens? Carter didn't flinch. Unidentified aerial phenomena, officially. We've monitored bursts like this for months along this coast. Your station's elevation and isolation make it a perfect relay point. The lieutenant opened the laptop, pulling up a spectrogram. This is your signal, he said, pointing to jagged peaks. Matches ones we've picked up 200 miles offshore. Clara leaned in, squinting. Looks like noise to me. You sure it's not some kid with a radio kit? Carter shook her head. Too consistent, too advanced. We need your help to triangulate it. Before Clara could argue, the door swung open. More personnel flooded in with screens and headsets, turning her cozy cabin into a command post. Rusty yowled from his hiding spot. Hang on, Clara snapped, standing. This is my home. I didn't sign up for this. Carter met her gaze. National security, Ms. Henshaw. We're asking for cooperation, but we're already here. Your experience with this region's patterns is why we need you. Clara sank back into her chair, outnumbered. She'd spent 35 years watching the sky, noting every squall and gust. Now it was watching her back. Fine. What do you need? Carter nodded to the tech. Walk us through last night, every detail. For an hour, Clara recounted the storm, the tones, the timing. She sketched the signal's rhythm on a napkin, her hand steady despite the absurdity. The team listened, rapt, asking about wind shifts, local electronics, even the dam's hum. Never heard anything like it, she finished. Not in all my years, Carter exchanged a look with the lieutenant. That's why you're key. You know what's normal here. This isn't. She paused, then added, what I'm about to say is classified. We think these signals are probes, not ours, not anyone's we know. Clara's stomach knotted. Spying? She asked. Mapping, more likely, Carter said. Terrain, weather, resources, we don't know why. Yet. By noon, the cabin was unrecognizable. Monitors glowed where her novels once sat. Antennas sprouted from the roof, dwarfing her old weather vane. Clara stood at her sink, washing her mug, as techs barked coordinates. She felt sidelined, then pulled in. See this ridge? She said, pointing to a map on a screen. Blocks signals from the valley. If your probe's up there, it's got a clear shot at the ocean. Carter's eyes lit up. Noted. That's the kind of insight we need. The day stretched on. Clara found herself oddly invested. She'd spent decades feeling obsolete, a human backup to blinking sensors. Now her dusty logs mattered. At dusk, a tech shouted, Signal spike, 1420 kHz. The room tensed. Clara recognized the hum from last night, sharper now on their gear. Same pattern, she confirmed, leaning over a monitor. Carter ordered, Track it, passive only. We need its path. Hours ticked by. The signal danced across their screens, dipping into canyons, skimming the coast. Clara pointed out quirks. A thermal inversion that bent radio waves, a cliff that echoed them. Could hide a source, she said. Carter nodded. You're a natural at this. Clara snorted. Just old and nosy. Near midnight, the signal peaked, then vanished. Lost it, the tech groaned. But Clara frowned at the map. Wait, that's Dead Man's Bluff. Steep drop, strong updrafts. If it's a probe, it might roost there. Carter radioed a recon team. Check coordinates, low profile. An hour later, static crackled. Major, we've got debris. Metal, lightweight, No markings. Fried circuits. Carter turned to Clara. Your hunch paid off. The next day, the Air Force packed up as fast as they'd come. Clara's cabin emptied, save for a new coffee maker they left behind. Carter lingered, handing her a card. Consulting gig if you want it. Your instincts are gold. Clara tucked it in her pocket. Might think on it. Alone again, she stood on the cliff, Rusty at her heels, scanning the sky. The dam rumbled below, steady as ever. She'd always watched the weather. Now she knew the sky held more. The next storm rolled in, and Clara tuned the radio, listening closer than before.
If you enjoyed this story, drop a like and subscribe for more tales like this. Hit the bell, and we'll catch you in the next one.